Proclamation of martial law may be necessary to end race rioting here, Washington, D.C., which resulted last night in the killing of 5 persons and injury of at least 50 others. Several days of disorders following a wave of attack on white women, robberies, and assaults culminated in a series of race battles during the night hours with which the police were unable to cope fully, despite the aid of military provost guards. Several of the injured were reported fatally hurt this morning, and at least 200 rioters were under arrest. The dead includes Detective Sergeant Harry Wilson, shot through the heart by a black citizen female when he entered a house from which she was firing indiscriminately into the street. Sergeants First Class James E. Green of the Surgeon General's Office, Washington, son of Mr. and Mrs. Jesse Green of Long Branch, New Jersey, was shot through the right breast and hip by a black citizen as he was escorting a young woman from a Washington theater. His assailant was killed. Detective Bernard W. Thompson was seriously wounded by a black female citizen in the same section of the city. 4 black men are dead and several others are believed to have been fatally wounded. 3 patrolmen were included in the list of badly wounded. Although 2 troops of cavalry from Fort Myer had been called out to patrol the streets and 400 Marines from Quantico and the Washington Marine Barracks had been added to the Provost Guard as a precaution against disorders, the situation at times last night was more than the authorities could cope with. Reserve squads of police and provost guards were being rushed through the streets of the city all night in answer to riot calls. Army motor trucks were stationed at the precinct headquarters with a squad of men armed with automatic rifles assigned to each. More than 45 riot calls turned in at one precinct alone between the hours of 7 and 1 o'clock, and others responded to almost an equal number. Last night's rioting marked by a general preparedness on the part of the black citizens who during the day purchased hundreds of revolvers. Late in the night, the black citizens dispersed as mobs, and a number of them took possession of high-powered automobiles in which they raced through the streets, pumping bullets from automatic weapons at all whites who happened within range. It is believed that numerous casualties resulted from this indiscriminate firing, which have not been reported to the police. Officials are convinced that the black citizens are acting in retaliation for the attacks made upon members of their race Saturday and Sunday nights by soldiers, Marines, and civilians. At least those who are still under the control of the government have been kept in the camps tonight, and the uniform is not very much in evidence, except where it clothes men who are doing their best to suppress the riots. Detective Wilson, who was killed in the rioting late at night, was trying to arrest Carrie M. Johnson, a black citizen female, 25 years old, who was shooting out of the window of a house on the corner of an alley at 220 G Street Northwest. The girl had fired many shots at random. Detective Wilson went to the house with a policeman and soldiers in response to a call. For a while, the girl held them off with her revolver. Then Wilson entered the house and went to the second floor where she had barricaded herself in a room. Wilson, the first to enter the room, was shot, but his companions arrested the woman, who was herself wounded in the hip. Policeman A.C. Thompson of the 6th Police Precinct was shot through the back while entering an alley on C Street near 2nd Street after chasing after an armed black man. The policeman was sent to the casualty hospital where his condition is reported precarious. In the same precinct, a mounted cavalryman was shot in the stomach and taken to the Walter Reed Hospital. The black man who shot him was also wounded. The police of the 6th Precinct were notified that a white man riding in an automobile was killed by black men while passing 5th and Massachusetts Avenue at 12:30 o'clock this morning. In the same precinct, Robert Brodin, a black man, was shot in the back, the bullet entering the left lung. During one of the melees in the 2nd Precinct, L.J. Hill, a black man, was clubbed on the head and is at Freedman's Hospital with a fractured skull. The first police report of the day told of another white woman assaulted and injured by a black man at Capitol Heights, a suburb northeast of the city. The black man who had loitered about the woman's house all yesterday was at first scared away and then, hiding behind a hedge, seized her as she passed by late last night. The woman was practically disrobed in her struggle with her assailant, who escaped after she scratched and bitten him badly. This was the 7th attack on white women by black men in and near the District of Columbia within 2 weeks. It's Tuesday, July 22nd, 1919. I don't like that we have to change some language that was used in the past because it takes away from our full understanding of what was happening in history. I replaced the word Negro with black citizen or black male or black female because I understand that these words can be hurtful. But you should know that the word Negro was used in this paper in 1913.